Good morning. Welcome to our resident council meeting. If everyone would, let's see, do we normally stand for the patriotic song or do we just sing it? I forget. I'm looking at patriotic song first on my agenda, but maybe I'm wrong. I think the patriotic song, I'm sorry, we'll follow our agenda. Okay, we'll stand for our patriotic song. Oh, we need a flag. And if you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, with liberty and justice for all. I want to say a special thank you to Linda Teague, who was in charge of finding individuals for our reflection. And while Betty Lou Jonas was having some issues, and we're so happy that she has taken over that responsibility. And she's going to share her reflection this morning.
Jane, I'd like to thank you. I am humbled that you've asked me to come back to this position, and I too would like to thank Linda for last year and for all of those that participated and given their reflections. But this morning I would like to share my thoughts with you. Some of you, it will be familiar, because I was asked to repeat the one that I gave to the women's breakfast several weeks ago. But now I will begin with a verse from 2 Corinthians. He comforts us when we are in trouble, so that we can share the same comfort with others that are in trouble. This verse spoke to me because I have experienced two major events in my life these last 8 months. I became a widow in January. 67 wonderful married years. Many of you know that this is truly life's greatest loss. 8 weeks ago, for the first time in my life, I broke a bone, my hip, and I experienced helplessness and dependence that most of you have already experienced, and some of you still do. During these times, I felt the love, the support, and the prayers for healing. I also realized that I had to do something in this new stage of my life. Fortunately, in a daily devotion, I found these words of advice, and it is called My Attitude. The longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude is more important than facts. It is more important than the past, the education, the money, than circumstances, than failure, than successes, than what other people say or do. It is more important than appearances, giftedness, or skill. It will make or break a company, a church, a home, a person. The remarkable thing is that we have a choice every day regarding the attitude that we will embrace that day. We cannot change our past. We cannot change the fact that people will act in a certain way. We cannot change the inevitable. The one thing we can do is play on the one string that we have, and that is our attitude. I am convinced that life is 10% what happens to me and 90% of how I react to it. And so with each of us, we are in charge of our attitudes.
Thank you, Betty Lou. All Residence Council members have received the minutes from our last meeting, and do I have a motion to approve? Second? Is there any discussion of our minutes? All in favor to accept the minutes, say aye. Any opposed? And the minutes pass. And now we will have Gary Stillwell to give our treasurer's report.
Good morning. The treasurer's report as of August the 23rd has us, the percentage of the fiscal year completed is 1/3. Our income, budgeted income, is $38,235. Total income, and this is sad, $1,145. The percent of the budget remaining is 97%. As far as the expenses go, our budgeted expenses are $38,693. Total expenses so far is $4,800, and the percent of the budgeted expenses remaining is 88%. Our bank account balances. The general fund, we are in good shape on the general fund. It's $66,439. The employee gift fund, to go into the Christmas time, is $31,267. The foundation savings that we still have in the foundation in Orlando is $35,230. The total amount of our accounts is $132,936. A word about the foundation savings. We've had that for a long time, and we were making interest off of it. They have decided they don't want us to do that anymore. So I made a deal with them that if they would just leave it in there for a while, that if we came up with some big ticket items, we could save the sales tax. So that's a lot of money out of $35,000. Hopefully we can come up with some big ticket items, and they'll let us do that to the end of the year. Thank you very much.
Do I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report? Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposition? And the treasurer's report is accepted. And now I'd like to introduce Sandra Wiley, who does a wonderful job in introducing our new residents. So Sandra?
She's right. I do have a wonderful job. It's always a happy job. We have 4 new residents to introduce today. That doesn't mean that we don't have other new residents. We're still bringing them to you as we can. So, but there are 4 today that were prepared to be introduced. And the first one is Jim LaRoque. He lives in Oak South, and he's sitting right over here. Jim, would you like to stand and let people just recognize your face and who you are? So this is Jim, and we welcome you. Okay, thank you, Jim. Jim was born and raised in Tupper Lake, New York, and he went to Clarksville College of Technology in Potsdam, New York. Also went to Florida Institute of Technology, and I recognized that, I thought at first, and it's in Melbourne, and my husband and I are from Brevard County, so we're familiar with that, and also with a lot of other things he has been involved in, because he's with an aerospace engineer for McDonnell Douglas, for Grumman, and for Boeing. And he lived on Merritt Island during that time, but he's also lived in Saudi Arabia and Hague and London, England. He's been all over with different reasons and different opportunities. He has 4 children, and they all live in Tallahassee. So guess how he got to Tallahassee? They begged him to come, and we're glad he did. He has a number of grandchildren, like somewhere around the number of 10. So that's very exciting for him and for us. And his wife, when they were down in Brevard County, was in real estate. And so that's another little avenue that we would have crossed into. He has a number of interests, and mainly golf. We have golfers all over here, Jim, so golfers be aware. You have another one here to pull in. And also, he paints, and he uses oils, and he does mostly landscapes. So he's quite talented. He's also volunteered in Cocoa, where Jimmy and I were raised also, and the library there. So he's literary, and we really want to welcome him. He also, when he was in Saudi Arabia and Hague and London, he was working for Aramco, an American oil company. So he's had a number of different hats, and we welcome you, Jim. Then we have another Jim to introduce to you, Jim Lyons, and he also lives in Oak South. Welcome, Jim. Jim comes from a large family. He has 8 siblings. His sister Kathy also lives in Oak South. Where's Kathy? There she is. His early childhood was in D.C., and he went to high school in Brevard County during the emerging space industry. And his father had a long career with Boeing Company. His mother was a professional musician, which got him very involved in music as well. And he mentions in his notes here that the high school advanced programs in math and science were an influence on his becoming an electrical engineer when he went to Georgia Tech. And I remember that, and I'm sure Jimmy does too. When these kids of these engineers came to town for the Space Center, it raised the bar. And we were we had the advantage of that ourselves. So our math raised a bit in science, and we had some good advantages from these space kids. Then he returned from Georgia Tech back to Brevard County as a defense contractor at the Space Center. He formed a band with his brother Tom and still is very involved in music. He moved to Tallahassee because Tom went to FSU and he was in Tallahassee. And he and Tom were among the founders of the Miccosukee Land Co-op that's still thriving after all these years. Some of you may be familiar with it because it's just right down the street from us, right? Wonderful community, a very close-knit community. And but his FSU career was in chemistry department, computer center, the supercomputer computations research, and a group that installed the first internet connection. So we can thank him for all of that. His interest, of course, is playing with Tom and other musicians. He's actively continuing development of Miccosukee Land Co-op. And at Westminster, he has friends from the co-op that came here first ahead of him. And also he admired the campus and the learning programs. So all of that together got him here for us, and we're thankful for that. He's enjoying meeting the new neighbors and getting used to the easier life, yet still connected to that community right down the road. So we thank you, Jim, for coming to be with us, and we're excited about having you. And now I have a couple to introduce to you, and I'm so excited because one of them happens to be a sorority sister of mine. Raymond and Janice Marsh, and they live at Carefree Cove. Thank you, Janice. Raymond. Raymond was born in Tallahassee in the old Dale Mabry Hospital a year before Tallahassee Memorial Hospital opened. So that's pretty. He really is identified as a native, let's put it that way. He's lived here his whole life, and that is real important, a Tallahassean all the way through. And Janice was born in Miami, and she attended elementary school there. Her family moved to Lakeland and then to Jacksonville and settled in Tallahassee, thank goodness. And Raymond and Janice were classmates in Leon High School, class of '65, and they started dating their senior year. And there they are, still together. Raymond attended the University of Florida, and Janice attended FSU. That could get a little rocky, except he was very wise. He returned to Tallahassee and got his BS degree at FSU in business management. That kind of leveled the playing ground. And he was with RCA Computer Systems Division in Tallahassee. He spent a lot of time with the state and state jobs, 36 years, including Auditor General, Department of Banking and Finance, Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles. He's the CIO and Director of Information Systems at Banking and Finance, and he retired as the CIO and Director of Information Systems Administration for Highway Safety. There's a lot of hats there, so we're impressed. Janice, she has a degree in early childhood education. She has a master's in social work. First, she started out as a teacher in Leon County schools, and then following her master's, she became a counselor, those valuable counselors in school, I know about those, in elementary and middle school. She enjoyed her job, as she loves and always has loved children. Now, Raymond and Janice have 3 children and 7 grandchildren. Sons Bart and Lee graduated from the Naval Academy and had lengthy careers in the Navy. Bart works for a defense contractor in Maryland, and Lee is circuit court judge right here in Tallahassee. Their daughter Brandy Van Leuven graduated from Furman University, and she is a Tallahassee realtor. So you got a lot of kids close by. Anyway, Janice and Raymond enjoyed helping with grandchildren. They loved their time at their lake cabin near Panama City. And Raymond likes to play golf twice a week when he can. So golfers, take note again. Both are happy to be part of Westminster, as we are very happy to have them here. And they are very new. They haven't been here very long. And so we're happy to have all of these new people. Jim, Janice, and Raymond. Thank you for your interest. Thank you for wanting to get to know these people, and please be aware of the time and interest that cross over in your lives. Thank you.
I do want to mention that Joe Bowman is one of the partners with Sandra, who is the chairman. She's been doing this for quite a while, and she mentioned to me she'd like to share that responsibility with anyone who would like to take over the chair of the welcoming committee. So anyway, if you're out there and you're wanting a job, and maybe you're a new resident and want to find out more about Westminster, please let Joe know that you would be interested. So we'd appreciate that, and we thank both of them for all the work that they do. Marie Coward is a very, very busy individual. She's not only the chair of the lower level refurbishment committee, but she and Linda Stalvey actually looked and reviewed all of the bylaws for the Residents Council. So Marie is going to come and sort of give us an overview of both of those areas.
Thank you, Jane. Hi, everybody. Linda and I are sort of partners and co-chairs of the Bylaws Committee. It's been great working with her. She's unfortunately not able to be here today. The bylaws will be posted both on MyWLife and in the library in this green folder. So they are available for review. There are two major changes. One is under Article 2, the council president is changed. We have always said that the council president is the designated representative. The new law that was passed by the Florida legislature requires that the designated representative to Orlando is elected. So we have underscored, however, later in the bylaws under the president in Article 4, that here at Westminster Oaks, the president commonly serves as the designated representative. The second change is under meetings and recommendations. The word major recommendations appears, and yet nowhere in the bylaws or standing rules is major recommendations defined. So we have deleted that. And we've also deleted Exhibit 4, which is related to handling inquiries, issues, and recommendations. In addition to those two changes, throughout the entire bylaws are editorial changes. And Richard Corbett was terrific in looking at the financial section in both the bylaws and in the standing rules, and editing those not only for clarity, but to be sure that they follow today's practice. And you will, as you read this paper copy and also on MyWLife, you will see some color. The red are new language, and the blue is deleted current language. I will say that 10 years ago, in 2014, the bylaws, standing rules, and exhibits were 34 pages. Today, if these proposed changes are adopted, they will be 17 pages. So that's half, and I hope more readable. That concludes my report on the bylaws. Are there questions? Okay. Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, sorry, it's written here, but I didn't say it. The bylaws will be adopted at the October or September? Okay. We will have discussion in September, and if there is any, and then we will, the council members will vote on the bylaws in October. So please direct your questions and comments as you read either on MyWLife or in the library to either Linda and I or to any member of the council. Now, are there questions? Thank you, Lanny. Okay, the ad hoc committee on the lower level. You know, I don't think that too many communities have the opportunity to rethink their space, but this is what the members of this committee have tried to do. The committee is comprised of Carol Bewley, Bob Davis, Robin Gray, who is the council representative, Almina Pettit, and myself. And Jane Hudson has been a very active ex officio member. We have two principles that we have used in considering the space at the lower level. One is that we're not thinking of the space for tomorrow morning, but we're thinking of it, what do we need 20 years from now? What do we need 10 years from now? So looking more long range. And then number two, because space is limited, we are considering that spaces be multi-purpose when possible. So I think those have guided our thinking. The members of the committee have had an opportunity to walk the lower level. And we have spoken with more than 12 staff, department heads, and more than 35 residents we've either contacted them, particularly if they're a committee chair, or they have contacted us. So I encourage you, our work is not done. This is only the beginning. But I encourage you to continue to speak with members of the committee so that your ideas can be heard. We have had good communication with administration and together problem-solving space so that it suits the needs of everybody. If there are questions? Okay, thank you.
I just want to personally thank the committee because they've been working really hard, and I want to thank Shannon as well because, you know, we come up with some ideas, sometimes grand ideas, but, you know, when we look at the reality of the situation, but it's been exciting to look and to compromise and to look at the space as Marie has worked really hard, and we continue to work because it is a work in progress. So I appreciate the committee and appreciate Shannon for working with our committee. At this time, are also Communication Committee. Mike, come on up. This is an exciting thing that they've been working really hard across the board, but this is one exciting option.
Good morning. You saw the picture of the committee there. We look a little different in reality than the one that all those people were sitting there. I just want to do tell you three things that have been changed on MyWLife. And the committee is a committee of this council, and its charge is to work with the administration to make MyWLife more functional, or as functional as it can be for the residents and so on. So these are three changes that you will see now, if you haven't already. They just came up on the weekend on MyWLife. So the first one, maybe me do that, I'm not sure. There we go. For inexplicable reasons, when we came here and started to work on this, the FSU module was a coffee cup. And it seems unclear why that was the case. Well, now, if you look, we now have something that looks more academic-y with some books and so on. And the title of it now is FSU Resources. So what's here now is the committee has worked very hard, a subcommittee, to update information about the services and activity that are available at FSU. So if you look in there, you'll see new information or updated information about getting a ID card, getting parking privileges on the campus, and a nice list of a lot of the cultural and athletic events, how you can get to those, get the programs, and so on. So that's just been put up there, and do take a look at it. You will also find something there called the Health Resources Clinic. Now that's been there for a long time. It turns out that it's not easy to move it at the moment. It's going to eventually be put into a health resources module that we're working on, particularly with the Health Services Committee with Jill Sanders is putting that together. But at the moment, there's something there that's about FSU, and it's got some, FSU has been in charge of the clinic, but not so much anymore. So that's the first one to tell you about. The second one, maybe, is a change in the veterans module and content. Before, we've had a very small item there called, let me just see, it was called the Veterans Club. And that rankled the veterans here, particularly Charlie Nam and other people, because we don't have something called the Veterans Club. And it's been very difficult to find a proper icon to use. And thanks to Charlie and some hassles with the Orlando people, we finally got this one approved. It's a U.S. Veterans cap that you'll see. It stands out now on the program. And there are updated links there that they have arranged that are very, very nice, including, by the way, a variety of videos that have been given over the ages or the years by the veterans on World War II and that sort of thing. But there's a very interesting one just of May this year describing the founding of the National Cemetery here in Tallahassee. It's a very interesting by the woman who founded it and is now in charge. It's 10 years old. And so it's a very interesting place to go and look around, and all the branches of the services are represented there. Now, I would just say these two modules, the first one, the FSU resources one, and the veterans are in the usual place. When you look at MyWLife, there's a ton of these things. It's down in the lower levels. We are eventually going to soon going to change all that. But there is a new one yet, which when you open that up, is at the top where COVID used to be. And the question, it's now called the Going Away module. And what you could do, and still can do, is fill out a form, take it to Lillian's desk. Lillian puts it into a pouch, gets it down to Robert sometimes, and it gets typed into a computer. What you can do now, from the convenience of your home, is click on that. The form, A form is there, not this form, but a different one. And you can fill it out. And when you press the button Submit, it goes directly to Robert's computer. And secondly, you get an email back saying this is what you just submitted with all the information on it. You can print that out for your records. So that's now in the top left when you open up My W Life, and please, those of you who are traveling, do that. Then the next slide is just a summary. These are the 3 changes that you'll see now on My W Life: the FSU resources, the new veterans, with both of those with new content, and the Going Away module, which is a new icon and brand new, and hopefully will be useful to people here. And the last slide shows you the people who are on this committee, and if you have issues or comments you'd like to make to any of us, we would like to do that. We meet monthly on the first Friday of each month in the fireside room. So that's what's happening. We're working on more things. The big event that will happen for us, the challenge, I think, is before the next 2 or 3 months are finished, we're going to rearrange and probably consolidate some of the items, the modules that are there, and rearrange them. They've kind of grown like barnacles on a boat or something like that. They've just kind of accumulated. There's a logic that can be put there, and we'll see what we can do about that. So would there be any questions about what we're doing? This is what we've done so far. Good, thank you.
I will have to say, when Mike mentioned that he wanted to be on the program to mention this going away, I may have been the first one to put an indication of a travel trip that I'm taking this afternoon, because I'll be flying to Vancouver at 1:48. So anyway, I hope the information is transferred to Robert, so they will have that information for me. And I really thank Mike and the committee for really staying on top and trying to organize and make it more efficient, so appreciate that. Okay, now I'm going to ask Marjorie Turnbull to come and give us an update of our ad hoc committee on Dempsey-Mayo traffic issues. So, Marjorie.
Thank you, and I'll try to finish in time so you can make your flight. Bob Parker has stepped down as chair, and I have assumed that responsibility, which is filling big shoes. Bob couldn't be here today, so I want to ask the members of this committee if they would stand, and then we can all give them a round of appreciation. Al Oosterhoff, Terry Ward, Bob Ballard, Mary Jane Robbins, and Jody Gooding. So if those of you who are here would stand. I will tell you that this committee, since its inception, has spent hundreds of hours documenting speed and traffic numbers on Miccosukee, researching pedestrian safety on roundabouts and other issues, studying traffic laws, engineering reports, talking with dozens of groups and individuals who had a role to play in the opening of Dempsey-Mayo to Weelaunee. In fact, there is a full page listing the various groups and individuals that they have talked with and interacted with. So you can be assured if there was a question to be asked, they asked it. I'm not going to go into great detail due to time and strength, but suffice it to say, there will be a written report that will go out the first week of September and be every one of your communities. It will give a history and a full detail about what has been going on and where we are today. But let me start with a bit of history. When Westminster Oaks was first built, this was rural Leon County. And I remember at the time thinking, why are they building a retirement community way out there? How are they going to get to the grocery store? How are they going to get downtown to go shopping? I mean, it was that rural. So there wasn't a lot of foresight and planning that one day we would have the situation we have today. Weelaunee at the time was thousands of acres of undeveloped land, and it was in the hands of one person, John Metler. Upon his death, the land was sold to a developer and a portion to the city of Tallahassee. And just to make it clear, Weelaunee is in the city limits. And as you know, we are not in the city limits. We are in the unincorporated part of Leon County. And so it makes it interesting to be working with two separate local governments, primarily the county. The city, it's city electric, but primarily the county. And And just to complicate matters further, Dempsey Mayo is a county road, and it is a major, what's called a major connector, because it's a straight shot between two state roads, Miccosukee, which is also a canopy road, and Mayhem. And that the land that the Miccosukee Greenway is on was purchased by the state, is owned by the state of Florida, but is managed by the county, and it's on the city side of, okay, you've got all that? It was clear in the sale agreement that Wilani worked out with the developer, the Dempsey Mayo would be opened up to Wilani. And fast forward to 2018, as Wilani began to develop, and in anticipation of the opening, which they really thought would probably be sometime in maybe 2020, the county began to hold meetings with the affected parties. And Shannon Saws, Bob Parker, and I sat in on those meetings. Also included was City Electric, the school system, EMS, Transportation Planners, Parks and Recreation, Friends of the Miccosukee Greenway, the Southern Horse Riders Group. You're starting to get the picture. No decisions were made at these meetings. They were primarily for information and to obtain input. However, it was clear at the time that the county was committed to putting a roundabout at the intersection of Miccosukee and Dempsey Mayo. Now, more on this later. And then COVID hit, and everything was put on hold. And as you well know, W.T. Moore was closed. But you remember when COVID eased and the school opened back up, there were times during drop-off and pickup that we were held hostage here in trying to get out at the entrance. And this situation told us that this could become the new normal when Dempsey Mayo opened up. In response, Jim Melton, Jim, you're back there, who was president of the Residents' Council, had the foresight to create the ad hoc committee on Dempsey Mayo. And he proposed it to work with management and the county and the developer to explore solutions that would ensure the safety and access of residents and employees on Dempsey Mayo. And I'm going to read you a copy of the committee mission that he created. The mission of the ad hoc committee on Dempsey Mayo traffic shall be to identify specific traffic hazards, how they endanger our residents, gather and analyze all data, laws, local ordinances and policies, programs, traffic studies, written reports, and successful solutions used elsewhere that are relevant to eliminating or minimizing the traffic hazards that increasingly threaten the safety of our residents. And 3, report its findings and recommendations to the Residents' Council to support a council request that local governmental policymakers eliminate or minimize the traffic hazards that increasingly jeopardize the lives and safety of our pedestrians, cyclists, and drivers. The Residents' Council was actually, on March 22nd of 2022, did adopt creating this ad hoc committee. And I became Resident Council President following Jim, and that council agreed to continue it. I've already mentioned the extensive work of members of this committee, and I want to particularly point out Al Oosterhoff, who spent hours sitting by the side of Dempsey Mayo with a speed calculator all hours of the day. And I will tell you that this committee, in December 5th of 2022, did a report of their findings, and there's a chart in there about speed and times and numbers that is very impressive. A copy of this report is in the library if you would like to read it. Copies of this report were given to Westminster Communities in Orlando, the County Commission, the school system. Bob Parker and I met individually with 6 of the 7 county commissioners, and as I recall, each of the commissioners made the comment that they had never before received such a thorough analysis from a citizens group. So give the committee another hand. As the opening to Westminster kept being postponed, construction of the roundabout, by the way, can only be done when school is out. So it has to be starting in May, and the idea that it would be finished by September, which I think is a lot of wishful thinking, but we'll see. So in the interim, what the committee did was look at another of immediate options. One, they worked with the KCCI, the Knight Creative Communities Institute, came up with the idea of putting the raised crosswalks out to slow down traffic at the entrance to Emerald Chase, Meandering Lane, and W.T. Moore. They had received a grant from AARP, so it did not cost us anything. Westminster agreed that we could do this, and you now have the crosswalks, and later traffic and speed data show they have significantly reduced speed on Densby Mayo. At the same time, the committee, along with management, both here and in Orlando, worked with the county to develop a plan to move the sidewalk at the entrance of Westminster Oaks back from the road. If you walk along there, you know you are right there, and those cars are right next to you. So that has been a work in progress. Because there remain a number of issues to be resolved, the Residents' Council in June of this year agreed to extend the life of the committee. And although we have made regular reports at these meetings over the years, it became very clear that some of the newer residents who live on streets most affected were not informed prior to their decision on moving to Westminster Oaks about the cut through to Walani and Roundabout. And therefore, we have scheduled separate meetings with the three streets that are most affected: Emerald Chase, Meandering Lane, still date to be set, and Carefree Cove, to get input from the residents and then answer any remaining questions they might have. We will also be giving information on the opening to marketing, so that prospective residents will be able to consider any impact before making a decision to move here. And let me conclude by talking about the roundabout. The fact of the matter is, transportation planners like roundabouts. And this is not just in Leon County. It is statewide, it is nationwide, it is worldwide. I have read somewhere that Finland alone has 25,000 roundabouts. I didn't know they had that many people. So what is this attachment to roundabouts? This is the fact that roundabouts move traffic more efficiently, but more compelling, to be honest, is the data that shows that car accidents and injuries at roundabouts are substantially lower than at traffic lights. What about pedestrians? We really looked at all that data. Although the percentage reduction in injuries to pedestrians is less than for cars, it is still lower than at traffic lights. If, and this is capital letters and bold print, if the roundabout is built properly. And that means making it so the speed is lower than 24 and closer to 20 miles an hour. And if you want to do a bit of research on your own, just Google roundabouts, and there are any number of articles about it. But despite this positive data, your committee remains skeptical, and in the beginning made a strong plea to keep the light at the intersection. We argued that residents crossing Miccosukee to walk on the Greenway would be put at greater risk. We didn't win this battle. However, in exchange, we were able to work with the developer's engineer to get substantial safety measures related to the roundabout, such as moving the sidewalk around the roundabout back from the road, having a raised crosswalk on Miccosukee, and widening the sidewalk considerably. The whole issue of signalization in crossing is still in the debate stage. There's still a number of key issues that need to be resolved. I've mentioned the entranceway crosswalk. We're very close to a solution on that. I didn't even get into the golf cart issue. That's another hour's conversation. Negotiations on the easement, which will be between Westminster Communities and the developer. The county is not in that discussion. And that, in other words, in order for the roundabout to go in, there is Westminster land that the Westminster Oaks Communities has to grant an easement for. Let me assure you that as we move forward, any idea and inputs you have will be seriously considered. And we'll be working with Manage to really pursue with vigor developing a long-range strategy. None of this not realizing that when that opens up, and we're still not absolutely sure we've got the accurate data on transportation plans, we want to know how emergency services is going to be impacted. We've already met with the Director of Emergency Services, and so they are in the mix. And we want to make sure that any user will be able to enter and exit Westminster Oaks in a safe and timely manner. So thank you so much, and I'll be glad to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Marjorie, and for all of the committee that's been really working so hard and answering a lot of questions because I know a lot of our new members and new residents, have issues and have not known the history of our involvement in this project. So now I'm going to ask Shannon to come and give a report.
Thank you and good morning. So I just wanted to share with you how the lower level is coming along. The lower level phase 2, which is the Oak South portion. The remediation has been completed and the air quality test has been completed and we've passed with flying colors. And so drywall is going to begin this week on the lower portions of the walls that have been removed in phase 2. This is, again, primarily Oak South lower level. Phase 1, which is primarily the Perry Center, the drywall has been completed and the painting is almost completed there as well. Maintenance is going to work towards moving in this week back into their space because there's not much fixing up to do down there like there is in Oak South. So they're happy to just have their brick walls and a little paint, and they're going to move back in. And that's good for us because maintenance has been limping along, as you well know. 4 pumps are still on order. That's 2 for the Perry Center and 2 for Oak South. Meanwhile, we have pumps downstairs. One in particular is a rental. That current rental is blocking our dock. And one of the things that we would really like to do is get that dock operational again, because many of you who walk in the Perry Center see stacks of boxes and other things that are there. And we want to get those to the departments and people that are expecting them. So getting those pumps in place will be paramount to that effort. We're also doubling our sandbags as well, so that, again, if we have a flash flood, and of course we're in hurricane season as well, that we will be prepared. So neighborhood meetings have begun as well, and so we've already met with Oak South last week. We're going to continue to meet with each of the neighborhoods. The main effort there is to improve our customer service, and so that's why we ask if you would be willing to attend those neighborhood meetings. Tell us how we're doing. Tell us if we're headed in the right direction. In many of our departments, we have plans in place to improve our customer service, and we want to know if those plans are working. Meanwhile, in September, the end of September, you will get a quality of life survey. It will be the traditional quality of life survey until next year, when we have Holler & Company that will take over all the company's quality of life survey, and they will be predominantly electronic. So we will still have arrangements for anybody who does not have email and wants to use paper, they can still do that. But that is in the upcoming year. In September, you will have the traditional paper quality of life survey. So, chaplain. I've had many people stop by my office and ask where we are with the chaplain. So we have reviewed 74 applicants. only 3 were qualified, and we have interviewed all 3. And so we do have a chaplain who's going to be visiting our campus this week. He and his wife are traveling from out of town, and they will be meeting with our Lifestyles group and be interviewed in person with them. And so for those of you who pray, now is the time. Thank you. The gym rehab center and the health center is getting new workstations. So you may know when you walk into the entrance of the health center, the rehab gym is predominantly on the left. However, they have moved a lot of the occupational therapy to the right as well. So we've taken over both of those spaces. So we're reallocating workspace for our therapy staff. So the gym will have a nice, much cleaner appearance, and you won't walk into people using the mat for a workstation. You may have met our new coordinator of our memory care building, Gino Santaprati, and he is currently getting his core training to be an ALF administrator. He is got great history in dementia work and training, and he has been so far great asset to us, and we really enjoy having him. He's also tech savvy, which helps because there's a lot of technology in that building to be managed. So Monday, as you know, is a holiday, so I just wanted to make sure you were aware Monday meals or on holidays is always lunch. So there's not going to be a dinner, and also to make sure that you're aware of like personal training fitness, we will not be having those on that particular day. Did any of you come for the brunch yesterday? Was it good? I heard it was really good. And so Paul told me this morning there was over 200 people that came for brunch yesterday. So I thought that was amazing. And so that's 50 more than came the first time we had brunch. So it looks like the word's getting out. A couple of repairs I wanted to share with you. The pumps for the lower level of Oak South and Perry Center are still in construction. They're in manufacturing. They have not been built yet. As soon as they're built, they will be shipped to us and installed. The chiller motor is actually going to be here this week. Now, it will take the better part of a month to install. Take the old one out, put the new one in. So just letting you know, the temporary, even though the new motor is going to be here, the temporary chiller will still be in place until the new motor has been installed and we make sure that it's running as expected. So you should have gotten an email, those of you who are in Oak South, about the water being temporarily shut down because of work that we're doing on the pipes there. We're also retubing the Perry Center boiler today as well. So we have a lot of old things that we're fixing up, just to let you know about that. One of the exciting things is Dr. Ali, who is with Kirana, is going to be here for a meet and greet this week on Wednesday at 10 o'clock here in the McGuire Center. So we're very excited to introduce you to him. Now, this is not Galt Ali, the older doctor. This is a young Dr. Ali. He is a hospitalist. I know somebody was saying, is he still working? It's not the same Dr. Ali. So this is actually a hospitalist over in the hospital. So it's really nice that our care and services transfer not only here through Kirana, but you have the opportunity to have him as your doctor when you go to the hospital. So I think you will really enjoy meeting him and hearing his story. And then also there is a Thursday happy hour from 2 to 4. This Thursday, it's a marketing fiesta. So we hope that you will come to that as our way of saying thank you, especially for all the people who are referring us residents. So we have the highest number of any property of people who live here that refer new residents to us. It's really amazing. And so I just want to thank you. And it bears out in the numbers because right now, overall, we're 96% on this campus. 96% occupied, about 97 occupied and sold. Health centers at 94%, independent living's at 97%, assisted living at 95%. So people are moving in continuously, and we really appreciate that you're referring them. We want to thank you for that. So any questions I can answer for you, and I'll try. Yes, sir.
along Dempsey Mayo where the wall extends for quite a bit, to break through that wall right where Emerald Chase is to allow additional access to the community. It would bring people to Carefree Cove. Could you comment on this? I hear bits and pieces, but
Yeah.
I'd like to get a little better idea of what's going on there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Want me to comment? Sure. So one of the issues that we have, and I think Marjorie Turnbull actually touched on this, is that there is a concern about safety for those not only walking but golf carts up and down Dempsey Mayo Road. So we've been exploring various ways of trying to how best to resolve that issue. And a cut through is one of the potential ways to resolve that, where there would be a gate at the Emerald Chase entrance. At the Covenant entrance into Emerald Chase right at the crosswalk. So that is being explored. Anything you want to add? Absolutely. Come on up. Yeah, you're welcome to.
But under state law, no golf cart can be on a county road. So I live in Meandering Lane, and every time I leave my driveway, I am out of compliance with state law. When I cross over, I'm out of compliance. Now, these are private roads, so it doesn't apply. So there is the issue about golf carts. And this is one solution being brought forward. The committee is looking at other options as well. There may even be one that by means of amending, let me go back. The county can pass a local ordinance that then applies within the county, and they are no longer under the state law. So there may be options simply by working with a statutory change and with an ordinance, which might end up meaning we don't have to do anything other than make sure that the language is clear. Ultimately, the plan is to widen the sidewalk between the entrance and Emerald Chase. So that would be 10 feet, where both golf carts and pedestrians could walk on that sidewalk next to Dempsey Mayo. But that's down the road, because that would be a very expensive operation. So as we understand, this is one of several options that are being considered, and the committee's looking at it very closely.
Any other questions? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, Jamie. As the former president of FLICRA, Florida Life Care Residents Association, I just want to mention that, and I'm wondering if Charlotte Cummings is here. Is Charlotte? I was hoping Charlotte would be here. You know, our organization is a statewide organization that represents us to the legislature. It's a very important organization, and we encourage everyone to be a member. And if you are a new resident, we hope that packet that you received from the Welcome Committee had a brochure about the organization and how to become a member. If you have questions, Sarah Cardona, Lanny's special person, is in charge of the membership. So we encourage you to become a member. As well, Residents Council and the FLICRA organization is sponsoring a candidate forum. Put that on your calendar, September the 24th. I believe that's Tuesday. We do this every time there's a major election, and it's really an exciting time for you to get to know these individuals that are running for office. Let's see. Also, just want to remind you about, because we're having a holiday next week, then everything will be pushed back. So the town hall will be the 9th, and our residents council meeting will be on the 23rd. Are there comments? Do I have a comment here? Yes?
What time? At what time the candidate forum?
At 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock in the evening, September 24th. Do we have any Mary Ann?
This will be in the September WOW, but our OLLI registration will also be on September 9th at 2 o'clock in the afternoon here in this room. We get early registration before anybody else in OLLI registers online a week or so later. And so this means you can also register for classes taught elsewhere, not just at Westminster Oaks. And some of those classes have very low, small registration numbers, and so you can be sure to get in.
Thank you. Any other comments from our board? Any comments from our residents?
Some of you have been asking about the concert this Thursday night. All is well. Lynn has just found out that we do have a driver. So plan to go to the concert on the Thursday night at 6:30. It'll be in the, Lynn will send you a blast today, but I wanted to let you know that it's all okay now.
That's the University Music Association, special concert for all of those. You know, I don't know how many. Raise your hand if you're a member of the UMA. You know, we have such a fabulous opportunity here at Westminster because there's so many wonderful concerts. There's more than you could ever attend, but most of us have a season ticket to University Music Associations, and we also enjoy their presentations here on Monday night. And
that starts September the 23rd. Monday night music starts September 23rd, and I'm booked almost for the entire year.
And a special thank you to Patsy Kicklighter, who has that connection with all those important people at FSU. So we really appreciate all the work she does to create our schedule of entertainment. Okay, if there are no other comments, I thank you for coming, and I hope you have a great day. And I'll have a great week in Vancouver, so.
Andy, how are you?